Hey, hello, I'm Kråkan, also known as Corvus Cornix, and welcome to Yacc, yet another Crowcast where I pick a game I played for a week and then I'll talk about it. This week's game is The Mask for the Super Nintendo. It was released in 1995 and it's a single-player platformer developed by Black Pearl Software and also published by them. Also, there'll be spoilers up ahead just so you know, but first a little backstory. So sometimes you remember something that was awesome from your childhood, like the Mask movie and the series, the cartoon series I mean, and I figured, why not try the Super Nintendo game? So when you start up the game, you get a bunch of logos, and then you get a nice underwater sequence intro where the mask is floating up to the surface and it's put on, and then you get the mask logo itself, and then you get the options to start a new game or go into the options menu. And there's a hidden Easter egg in the options menu that I'll talk about later. So the plot goes like this: you're Stanley Ippkiss, a bank employee, and just like the movie, he finds a mask and he puts it on and he transforms into this character called the Mask. So this is only possible during the nighttime because it's affiliated with the night god Loki. So the Mask character itself is kind of an interesting character. He's dressed in a yellow suit and he has these awesome tapping shoes. And also his entire face is green because of the mask. So you start in the apartment area, you have 3 lives, you use your boxing gloves with the Y button, the X button is your mallet, which is used to break alarm washers or clocks that are bouncing around, just like the movie. The B button is jump, and the A button uses the morph ability, and you start with 500 morph points. You turn into a whirlwind of craziness. So the best way I can explain the Mask character, he is like a cartoon character put in the real world. And there are 2 additional abilities that I didn't even know about getting into the game this week. So you can run and you can sneak, and some enemies you can run by, and other ones you need to sneak by. And these are accessible with the shoulder buttons. So you go through the apartments, breaking flooring. These are indicated with cracks, and I think you can break walls and windows as well. So you sneak by certain doors in order to not get attacked by the people living there, I suppose. And you also collect money, morph power, hearts for health, and you can also collect 1-ups in the form of masks. And by the way, this game is really confusing to navigate. It's like a maze, and you go through these vents and you get morphed into other areas across the map, and the layout of these apartments doesn't really make sense at all. But after a lot of trial and error, I managed to get to the boss, Mrs. P-Man, which is Stanley Ippkiss' landlord. So avoid her shotgun blasts and hit her, and that's pretty much it. Level 2 is a street level with some construction site elements. So you fight red clowns for some reason, street thugs, and people throwing stuff out the window. And this makes platforming really hard, actually. So there are 2 mini bosses. There's like a wrecking machine with a wrecking ball attached to it. You punch it or use your ability in order to break it down. But the real boss is a guy with a wrench and a welding tool. And these bosses are bullet sponges. They take a lot of hits to go down, and it's kind of ridiculous. Level 3 is the back alley, so there are a lot of mob peoples with Tommy guns in this level, and the boss is a fat guy with a shotgun and a burp attack. Level 4 is the park, so you navigate 3 sections, the canopy, and you avoid pretty much all the enemies and stuff. And it's really hard to see at some point where you're supposed to go because the foliage of the tree actually obscures the path. And the boss of this level is this weird jumping guy. So level 5 is the prison, so the gimmick to this level is turning off the electrical barriers, going through the vents, and taking care of the inmates with their shivs. And the boss of this level is this guy with a ball of chain. So level 6 is the sewers, and this level is full of pipes and it's really frustrating. So you can see the exit right at the beginning of the level when you start. And this is where I quit because it's like a huge maze full of enemies and radioactive barrels and all kind of crazy stuff, but I was exhausted at this point. And the last level of the game is the Coco Bongo Club itself, just like the movie. And I took a look at it on YouTube and I was like, I can't beat this level. It's like you go into the sort of dance floor section and you jump on these things in the ceiling. It's like a pinball machine. I'm like, nope, I'm not gonna play that. So gameplay, go through the levels and beat the bosses and beat the main bad guy in the end and get the girl. Control, the D-pad is movement, the B button is jump, up and B is a high jump, the Y button is the boxing gloves, and you have to tap it to punch. The X button is mallet, up and X is the horn, which is like it hits everything on screen at once. The stop button pauses, the L button is sneak, the R button is run, R and down is a slide that I never used, and up and A is a guns mode, like the movie. Graphics. So the graphics are cartoony and it fits the SNES perfectly. So the main character's animations are just funny. And even more funny is when he's idle because then he does even more stupid things. Sound and music. Phil Crescenzo made the soundtrack for this game, and some tunes are actually catchy, but I feel like the SNES sound chip wasn't living up to its full potential here. So I like the tracks from Coco Bongo, The Club, and Stanley's Apartment. Those are my favorite tracks, actually. Easter egg, secrets, and glitches. So in the options menu, you can punch in A, B, X, Y, L, R, L, A, B, and if done correctly, a sound will sound out, and you can access the sheet options. Here you can put on infinite lives, infinite health, infinite morph power, and level select. So in conclusion, I wrote, yes, maybe try it if you're curious. So I like the cartoon look of the mask, I like the animations, and the music is good for the SNES. However, this game is a giant mess and it suffers from bad enemy placements, and after playing for a bit I was tired. There is a rampant difficulty curve and the formula is repetitive, so my recommendation will be to watch the first movie or the cartoon series, and I think you will have a lot more fun watching those than actually playing this game. So anyway, thanks for listening and or watching, and take care.